Monday Night Raw, if that is indeed its real name, had a big moment last night as we are recording now, and I know that because I woke up to a bunch of people tweeting me about it and asking me to get your opinion about it. A world title change on Raw last night.
Yes, folks, in the pantheon of immortals, the names come rolling off the tongue. Bruno Sammartino, Pedro Morales, Superstar Billy Graham, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Big E. Big E is the new WWE champion. Boy, oh boy. What, did you see the interview segment where they set this whole thing up? Out comes Bobby Lashley and MVP, who look like badasses, who are in suits, who look like athletes. MVP has been one. He's in the manager role now, but he looks professional. Here's Randy Orton, who always looks like $1 million. He's always in shape. He looks badass. He's been more obviously heelish, and he is heelish. Randy's heelish. But he's also got this goof partner in this forced odd couple tag team. So Randy Orton comes out looking all badass, and he's joined with a guy on a fucking skateboard wearing a clown outfit and acting silly.
Is it a skateboard or a scooter?
Whatever the fuck it is.
There's a big difference.
Wheels. It's got wheels, and 6-year-old kids get on them and go buddin'. Whatever the fuck it is. It's silly. And then Big E, who's got the briefcase that he won under questionable circumstances, where he gets a title shot anytime he wants. He's dressed, as we mentioned, about the New Day many times, like a unicorn threw up, and he's acting silly. And grown human beings don't act that way, but it is especially noticeable in front of Bobby Lashley and Randy Orton and MVP trying to be stars of the level of all the other names that I just mentioned and come off that way. And you got two clowns doing bad childish comedy given to them by some writer. And that was the interview segment. And it's fucking, it's ridiculous. It demeans the title. And I'm not even talking about whether Big E, wrestling-wise, should be carrying it. Although from what I saw against him and poor Bobby Lashley, it was a little rough. I'm talking about the gimmick and the way he's presented. And yeah, the people in the building liked it because they like all this foolishness now. But geez, it just looks so hokey when you've standing in front of you. You've got people trying to be serious and you got people that are clowns. And then was it just me, Brian, or in what world of human psychology did Bobby Lashley, was Bobby Lashley the heel there? Lashley is fighting Orton, who's been a heel pretty much the past few years that we've been watching most of this shit until they stick him with Riddle. He beats Randy Orton with a spear, puts him through the fucking table or whatever, hurts his leg. Then out comes the guy to cash in against a supposed heel who's just beaten another guy flat with a finish and then is injured.
Right. Isn't that what always happened in wrestling history? The babyface takes advantage of the injured heel to cheat him out of the title?
No, it's supposed to be the other way around.
Of course.
The heel comes in and takes advantage of the injured babyface. But in this case, the guy comes in with the injured heel, and to make sure that we got everybody in the right place now, the fucking Big E wanting to cash in the briefcase slaps Lashley in the face. So Lashley, instead of being a heel saying, no, I'm hurt, now he gets slapped in the face. Now, no, okay, motherfucker. Now he's the baby face. He's not going to let a guy slap him in the face. And then they have a fucking match Brief, obviously, and Lashley selling the leg. And it wasn't the smoothest thing we've ever seen. But then Big E kicks out of the spear that just beat Randy Orton. And then wins the fucking title from the heel, the injured heel. God damn it. The psychology was all over the page. And again, this just makes the World Championship look like anybody can win it, and not in a good way. I'm not talking about any of the top stars where you've got, a real dogfight for that. I'm talking about any jack-off on the roster can win the world title if he gets the briefcase with the contract, or he comes in, or the 24/7 thing, or blah, blah, blah. It's just... And I saw people on the internet saying, the boys in the business, well, Big E deserves it. I understand he might be a great guy, but just because a fireman saves a cat from a burning building, does that entitle him to play on a Super Bowl team? So what we've done here again is just said, with these titles are just props. It's just meaningless. And all these gimmicks and stipulations and the Money in the Bank briefcase, and anybody can cash it in, and blah, blah, blah. And there's no parameters to any of this stuff. And I'm sure the fans will be tickled that old Big E has been rewarded for his faithful service by winning the World Championship. But I just don't believe that you ought to become a world champion just because you alerted the Rangers that Timmy was down the well or something. What'd you think?
I thought for a while one of the advantages WWE had was Roman Reigns is the champion on SmackDown and Lashley on Raw. Roman Reigns is great, and he feels like a champion. He needs to be in that role. And Lashley has been really good with MVP, who's great. And Lashley's legitimate, too, which is an added bonus nowadays. And I wondered in the last few weeks, how is WWE going to respond to AEW? And I'm going to get 100 people yelling, AEW is not in their league. And I'm not saying financially they are. But that's not the way Vince McMahon works necessarily traditionally. How's WWE going to respond to the growing buzz? Because they're hearing it from sponsors too. They're hearing it from all sorts of people.
Yeah.
But AEW. And this was the response. These shows, the bits of the shows we've watched, the characters changing of various wrestlers that we've seen in the last few weeks, and then Big E defeating Lashley. I don't know. To me, you're just pushing people away. This is me. And again, you brought up a great point. The people there, they love Big E. You brought up also earlier that there was a SmackDown interview with Heyman and I think it's Kayla Braxton.
Yes.
Yes.
Girl interviewer.
And all of a sudden they cut to Big E like hugging the briefcase and acting like a child. And I know this is where I separate myself from a lot of the other wrestling fans. I don't want wrestling to be childish. Even if there's stupid things, it doesn't have to be childish. And I've never liked Big E since he took on I was never a New Day fan. I never liked Big E since he joined the New Day because of just the silliness and I'm embarrassed. Like, that's the part of the wrestling I'm embarrassed by. Is if someone watched WrestleMania and saw Big E dancing and Fruit Loops or whatever they got going on, I can't justify that. So I'm not a fan of this, and I just don't know what the hell WWE's doing right now.
And I mean, certainly, obviously, he's not going to hold it for long. It's not going to be a long-term thing like they're building to WrestleMania
So you're hot shotting.
Big E. Well, that's what I was about to say. It makes it even worse when whoever they want to put the belt on next, that they want to put in some type of issue with Lashley or wherever they're going with this, and Big E is the transition. And again, it just diminishes the value of winning. What am I saying? There's already 2 world champions anyway. So it's already diminished, but then this diminishes it by letting somebody below the main event level that's not been presented at anywhere near the main event level just hop in, and then they'll lose it so-and-so. And in the territory days, they would do that sometimes, where I remember the Assassins on Memphis TV lost the World Tag Team Championship to Robert Reed and Ken Raper. And that was his real name, by the way, Ken Raper. Probably wouldn't have made TV these days. On Saturday morning, and then rematched it Monday night and kicked the shit out of him and killed him and won the titles back, but they had done it because the Fabulous Ones interfered. And then they went into the lights out match with the Fabulous Ones and did the real business. You could play with the territory belts a little bit more, but this is the big company, the big belt, one of the big belts. It just,
And you hit on the other big thing that I thought. When Lashley was limping back into the ring with a pained face, and all of a sudden Big E and the referee came running down, did you not feel sympathy for this man? Did you not feel bad for this man, this injured, hobbling, painfully faced man?
Painfully faced man.
They made him the baby face. And
it did. The position he was put in, he's beating the other guy that's a main event guy that's also been known as a heel. He's injured, and this guy wants to take advantage of it. Then the guy slaps him in the face and forces his back against the wall. He has no choice. Yes, he was the baby face. And to the psychology of it reminded me in completely opposite order of the old finish. Buddy Rogers used to do this finish in world title matches when they didn't want to beat a baby face. I know for a fact they did it with Bobo Brazil. I saw it done in the 70s. I'm pretty sure Jackie Fargo did it. He would have got it from Rogers, but it wasn't just limited to those people. But the heel champion is facing the baby face, and the baby face is looking good, and boom, 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 and they're going in the closing moments of the match, and suddenly the heel champion tries to leapfrog the baby face that's rushing at him, but he doesn't clear him, and the baby face headbutts the heel in the nuts, and the heel goes down in a heap. And he's selling, and he can't recover. He can't continue. The referee counts him out, awards the match and the title to the babyface. And everybody's screaming, yay, yay, yay. And then the babyface gets on, and you can especially tell why they did this with Bobo Brazil in Washington, or why they may have done it with Dusty in Florida once. I can't remember, whatever the fuck. But the babyface gets on the microphone and says, wait a minute, no, I'm not going to take it that way. I don't want to win it that way. When I beat this guy, I want it to be fair and square, man to man, 1, 2, 3, so there's no doubt who the better man is. This was an accident. I'm not going to accept the victory. And the people cheer again. And now the babyface can be marketed. He ain't going to go around and say, I'm the uncrowned champion. But he can be marketed as the guy that beat the champion and was too honest and too sportsmanlike to accept a victory like that. Wait till we get the rematch, folks. That's the psychology. The psychology of this was just, it's all sports entertainment. It means nothing and matters nothing.
Yeah, you know what's funny? You know who had that attitude? Andrade. He lost with, the heel lost when his manager cheated and he couldn't deal with it. Everything's backwards.
But he didn't beat up the other manager that cheated also, but distracted the referee.
Well, that is the new WWE champion, right? That's the regular champion.
Congratulations to Big E. They ought to have Big E with his manager, Paul E.
Paul should sue. Isn't he the Big E?
Oh, come on now. It's not even time for Steven yet. Besides that,
I heard some of the things you said earlier. You can't say anything.